Hey guys, BaoZakeruga here. Today I'm here to count down the top 10 games from the console that had the biggest impact on my childhood and early teen years, the Nintendo Gamecube. One game for series, so without further ado, here we go. Number 10, Baten Kaitos, Eternal Wings and the Lost Ocean. The first Baten Kaitos game is the epitome of a hidden gem. This game has two big draws, at least for me. The first being the battle system. You fight using cards. But don't let that fool you. It's pretty fast paced as you'll be chaining cards on the fly to pull off combos, block attacks, and heal. It's extremely addictive and I never got bored of it. Second major draw is the music. BaoZakeruga, possibly best known for the music of the Tales and Star Ocean series, is some of his best work in this game. Seriously, he nails pretty much every scenario perfectly, from the violin and drums of the battle theme to the peaceful ambience that plays for certain towns. Also, I gotta give a mention to the characters, more specifically the main two, Kaitos and Shella. I really grew attached to them and they both go through some pretty heavy character development. Now, I gotta admit, this game has some of the strangest voice acting I've ever heard in a game. It can be downright laughable to strange since all the voices sound like they're being spoken through a weird filter. But it didn't ruin my overall enjoyment of the game, even if it did make a certain serious scene hilarious for me as a kid. And I gotta say, this game throws a plot twist at you that I've never seen before in a form of media or entertainment. It's truly a great game. Now Kaitos just needs to appear in Super Smash Bros. A guy can hope, right? Number 9, Pokemon Colosseum. A 3D Pokemon adventure, a game where you can catch other trainers' Pokemon? My 11-year-old mind was blown when I discovered this game's existence. And now that I think about it, this was probably the first game I ever followed closely online prior to its release. And I'd say it lived up to the hype for me. The main character Wes was pretty cool for a solid protagonist. Unlike Red, Gold, and Brandon, he felt like he was supposed to be his own character, and not a mere avatar to project myself onto. And of course, like I said earlier, you could catch other trainers' Pokemon. Even today, that's awesome. I recently replayed the game. While not as amazing or long as I remember, I literally beat it in a weekend, it's still pretty fun for a fan of this series. Also, does anyone remember the corny yet awesome commercial for this game?
Who will save the Pokemon? Gotta save them. Gotta save them all. You can save the Pokemon. Gotta save them. Gotta save them.
Number 8. Mario Kart Double Dash. As most Mario Kart fans, what their favorite game in the series is, and there's a good chance they'll tell you Mario Kart 64. For me, that game is Double Dash. I must have put over 100 hours into this game easily. The biggest feature is of course having two characters to a kart. This opens up a lot of fun for multiplayer since you and a friend will have to work in perfect sync if you want to win. And I have to mention the feature that this game has that sets it above probably every other entry in the series for me. Character Special Items. This means selecting different characters actually does something. The Mario Brothers have fireballs, Bowser and Bowser Jr. throw giant shells, Yoshi and Birdo have homemade eggs that crack open to reveal more items, and of course all the other characters have their own as well. I really don't get why Nintendo took away this feature from future entries, but I suppose it just makes this game all the more unique. This game also has the most chaotic track in Mario Kart history, Baby Park. You haven't raced until you do an 8-player Baby Park match. Number 7. Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. This game has arguably the best story in a Fire Emblem game. This has to do with the Lagoos, a race of people that have the ability to change into animal forms to amplify their strength and abilities. But see, most regular humans hate and fear the Lagoos, so they discriminate against them, even go so far as to enslave them. And as a direct result, most Lagoos hate the regular humans in return. This racism intention sets the tone for a large portion of the game and makes it so that for the most part there is no inherently good or evil side to these opposing forces. The Lagoos not only play a major part in the story, but they're also able to transform for limited amounts of time during battle. This makes them both extremely dangerous opponents and strong allies. Seriously, some of them are borderline broken. I also gotta mention the great characters of this game. Ike is possibly my most favorite lord in any Fire Emblem game. He's different than the rest in the fact that he has zero interest in being a lord and is blunt to the point of rudeness. But at the same time, he fights for what he truly believes is right and nothing else. He truly does not care about politics at all. His company, the Grail Mercenaries, are great too. All are well-rounded and most of them are likable. But the character I really have to talk about is the Black Knight, one of the best villains you'll ever find in a Nintendo game. This guy is shrouded in mystery. You won't actually get to find out more about him until this game's sequel. Also, his theme that's playing in the background right now, badassery at its finest. Number 6. Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes. All my life I've heard how groundbreaking the original Metal Gear Solid was and what it did for the stealth genre. So earlier this year, I gave it a try. And to my disappointment, it didn't age well and I dropped it almost as soon as I started. But I discovered there was a remake on the GameCube, so I gave that a try. I proceeded to play this game, Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 3, and the PSP titles one after another without much of a break for the next week. This series quickly jumped to one of my favorites of all time. If I had to describe this game, it would be that it's an experience. From the first boss fight to the credits, I couldn't put the controller down. I had to place this one further up on the list for the fact that I love this game, and 2, also this series for its story and boss battles. The regular gameplay, not so much. Still, this was a game I'm glad I gave a fair try, and one I can't wait to replay. Number 5. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. It was such a major part of middle school for me. My best friend and I would literally meet up in the morning and talk about how our childs were doing. I loved every single thing about this game growing up. The fact you can see the story from 2 different perspectives is something I had never experienced before in a game. I liked all the characters, well, except for maybe Amy Rose. Seriously, she's annoying. And I absolutely had to mention the music. One of the greatest OSTs in the game ever. In my opinion, of course. Every character has their own genre, more or less. Sonic has upbeat rock music, Rouge has slow, sometimes seductive music, Knuckles has hip-hop, and so on. There's just so much content in this game and I love it all. Well, at least most of it. Getting A rank on some of these missions is a serious pain in the ass. And I gotta say, the final boss battle of this game, classic. Number 4. Pikmin II. Every game after this point is pretty much as good as the next, but they must be ordered, so ordered they shall be. Pikmin 2 is how you do a sequel. It improves on every single thing the original did without taking anything away. Well, except for the day timer, but no one missed that. In the chorus, it added more features like co-op, versus play, 2 new Pikmin types, one of which is my favorite type of Pikmin, a challenge mode, and dungeons. I must have played through this game at least 6 times already, and writing this script makes me want to play it again. Pikmin 2 was amazing when it came out and still holds up today. Seriously, this game feels like it hasn't aged a day. Not something you can say about most games from this era. Number 3. Super Smash Bros. Melee. This is the game I put the most hours into in all my life. I don't have an exact estimate, but I imagine I put over 5,000 or 6,000 hours into this game. Also, this is the only game I've ever played for over 24 hours straight without rest. As you can see, I love Super Smash Bros. So you might be wondering why this game is only number 3. This is going to sound blasphemous to anyone watching that still plays this game competitively, but coming back to it all these years later after having played Brawl and Smash 4, the game feels clunky to me. But that's just my opinion, don't crucify me for it. Doesn't change the fact that I have countless memories with this game, and I'll always like it. Number 2. Tales of Symphonia. I'm going to come right out and say that Tales of Symphonia is my favorite game of all time. You might be wondering why it's only number 2 then. Well, when I explain number 1, you'll understand. Anyways, Tales of Symphonia was unlike any game I'd ever played before. Probably the biggest thing was the battle system. Up to that point, I was used to turn-based RPGs, and them being single-player only. But here was a game where a group of friends and I could run around controlling our characters as if we were really fighting the enemies. It was amazing. Next, the story. This is one of my favorite stories of all time ever told. I can't go into details because of spoilers of course, but it's a story I still can enjoy countless times today. I don't care what anyone says, it's amazing and well told, and you'll grow very attached to these characters. And of course, you know how important music is to me in my games. Tales of Symphonia has one of the greatest soundtracks I've ever heard. Every song fits every situation perfectly, and it's all beautiful. Beat the Angel, Fighting of the Spirit, Dry Trail. The list of amazing songs goes on and on. Look, I could be here all day going over how amazing this game is, but if you played it, you already know how great it is. And if you haven't, well, it's pretty cheap now for both GameCube and PS3. What are you waiting for? Number 1. The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. So, why is Wind Waker number 1 over my favorite game of all time, you ask? Because Wind Waker, in my opinion, is as close to a perfect game as I've ever played. It's the one game I will not hesitate to call a masterpiece in every single aspect. Seriously, I can think of no flaw this game has. Plus, the fact I've always been fascinated by the ocean and adventure definitely doesn't hurt. First thing I have to mention is Link himself. Unlike the other incarnations of Link, this one feels like an actual character and not a soulless avatar. You feel his sadness waving goodbye to his grandmother in the beginning. You can see his shock meeting the King of Red Lions for the first time. He has life, and I love that. Now let's talk about the exploration itself. I love entering a new island and not knowing what awaited me. Would it be a heart container, a treasure map, a great fairy? That feeling of adventure is something I've never gotten while playing another Zelda game. And I hope Zelda Wii U brings that feeling back. Music, you know it's amazing, I don't even have to tell you that. Story, best one in the series for me. You get the picture. I love everything this game has to offer. It just saddens me that some people are so close-minded that they'll never even give this game a try because of its graphical style. But, oh well, that's their loss. So, those are my top 10 GameCube games. I admit there's a couple I haven't tried yet that I really want to, like the Paper Mario game and Beyond Good and Evil. So who knows, maybe if I had played those would have made the list. But, those are my top 10 games. What are some of your favorite GameCube games? I'd love to hear them. Leave it in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.